I'm just going into a different format, really focused on the delivery of a really concise 30-minute presentation. Depending on the pace that I talk, it might take 25 minutes, 20 minutes. Anyways, we'll get started. I provided some audio instructions. I assume you can see my screen. So we'll continue to go. Again, my name is Patrick Baker. I'm the president and owner of Constructive Solutions. Today, our agenda, really one slide on Constructive Solutions, then we're going to review the investment model to lower the barriers to construction-specific software. There's a number of different products in our portfolio. We're going to be featuring the Sage construction products. And then really, we'll talk about budget commitment, holdback, change order, and work in progress management, and then field-based capture. So just some of the high value points in the construction-specific software that we sell and support. So Constructive Solutions, founded in 1999, 22 years in business. We're Vancouver-based, 23 employees across the country. We're Canada's largest construction systems integrator with over 750 clients that we support on an ongoing basis, all construction and real estate customers. That's all we do. And the products that we represent only focus on those industries. And while you may not have made a change in the last while, we transition approximately 45 new clients every year, taking them off of Sage 50, taking them off of QuickBooks, taking them off of older job cost specific solutions. So it's our responsibility to understand your business, to work with you to configure the software and train you on the use of the software and support you in your go live and deployment of the software. Clicked out for a moment. You know, it's never been easier or more affordable. Recently, Sage has modified the way that they offer their software into a monthly subscription. So you can get started for as little as $135 per month for the core offering, which includes general ledger, accounts payable, job cost, project management, payroll, AR, billings, and a couple of other peripheral applications like cash management for bank reconciliations and the like. The idea is it's a monthly subscription on an annual contract, so $135 per month the licensing is based on concurrent users. So you can have more than one user ID set up, but only one individual with one license can be in the software at a given time. And then there's a series, so you can start with a core and then look to build out on that core, including estimating software, equipment costs for civil contractors, service work order management software for service contractors. If you maintain and manage an inventory, we have an inventory module, and then we have full document management control. So if I just pop here, this will bring up sort of a licensing worksheet, I believe. Control. My link has failed me. Oh, no, it was just taking a bit. There you go. So enable contact. So this is a subscription licensing worksheet for Sage 100 Contractor. It's one of the products in our portfolio. It's a construction-specific solution. There's no limit to the number of companies one can manage within Sage 100 Contractor. And it has a job cost subledger. So the licensing is broken out by core, which I mentioned includes, the general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, billings, payroll, job cost, project management. So we're going to pay your vendors, pay your employees, and do financials for your company or your group of companies. And so the licensing is based on concurrent access. So one license per month is $100 per month in the US currency. So that's why I arrived at the $135 Canadian. So the idea is that you can start with a core. We can work with you to build out that, to implement that core. And then as you go live, we can add additional licenses of the core. If you're interested in utilizing some of the other software in the suite, like estimating or document control. So estimating allows you to formulate the cost base of your project. It has an item database that reflects your labor productivity and your purchasing power. So with your vendors, And so it allows you to formulate the estimate, the bid, as it were. When you get awarded that bid, that estimate then flips over into a budget within Sage 100 Contractor, where we track all of our expenditures and see how we're doing on the job. Additionally, it's going to bring over your bid items to create your contract to define how you're invoicing your customer. We're going to identify all of the materials into purchase orders and on any subcontracts you've identified, and we're able to take the detail in the estimate and create those purchase orders and subcontracts right in Sage 100 Contractor as committed costs. It'll also allow you to take all of your labor and the milestones that are created in the estimate to create a schedule within Sage 100 Contractor. So you can, it's like Microsoft Project Lite, and it allows you to manage the schedule and your resources as the job is playing out. There's other peripheral applications like document control, which allows you to manage transmittals and RFIs and shop drawings and meeting minutes and a variety, so the project-based documents. We have equipment management, where you set up pieces of equipment and you track all expenses against those pieces of equipment. And whenever that piece of equipment is used on a job, it's a cost to the job and it's revenue to the piece of equipment. So we know how we're tracking on that piece of equipment. Again, I mentioned service receivable and work order management, and we also have inventory management. So again, if you required 2 licenses of the core, then we're looking at $200 per month. This is a monthly subscription in US dollars paid directly to Sage. So this is the licensing worksheet, and it'd be a matter of going through and defining which of the applications you might require to come up with what your monthly fee is going to be from just the licensing. So previously, we sold perpetual licenses, and those were a larger one-time investment, and then there was an annual support fee that was 25% of what the one-time perpetual license fee is. All the license access to the software and unlimited frontline support and all the enhancements and upgrades are all included in the subscription-based pricing. So it's one manageable figure that you can budget for. So let me just pop back over here. So that's sort of the investment on the software side. We as Constructive Solutions have all the help you need to work with you on the setup, the training of your staff, the conversion of your data from QuickBooks and Sage 50, and bringing across those opening balances and the detail that required to support your go live reporting requirements. And then we're there with you to support your first AP check run and your first payroll and your first month end or your first couple of month end closes. So to reinforce the training that we've delivered during the implementation. You can be live and operational in as little as 30 days. And again, I mentioned we're there to support you in your first AP check run, payroll, and month end close. So, we work with many clients who are on QuickBooks and Sage 50, and really they're managing the large portion of their business on Excel spreadsheets. And the challenges that they tell us about that they face when using QuickBooks in Excel or Sage 50 in Excel is really reduced efficiency and accuracy because they're entering that data multiple times. And whenever they need to go and produce a job cost report, they need to go and enter all that data again to get it in to see how they're tracking a budget. They've entered it into QuickBooks or Sage 50 to pay the vendor, or they've entered the time in to pay their employee. But then they need to go and enter that data and that detail directly into a spreadsheet to see how they're tracking against what their original budget was. There's a risk of data error which occurs, and when you're trying, either you're spending a lot of time reconciling between your accounting and your spreadsheet, and often those errors can impact profitability and allowing you to react to cost overruns. So really, our clients find great value in the ability to enter information once, so to increase efficiency. So it also impacts the quality of work for employees. They're never caught up. They're always entering data, the same data multiple times, and they spend a lot of time reconciling, which isn't high value work. Many of our clients who make this one-time investment in technology realize that it would have been more people with the manual systems that they had. And so I think they're very Happy that they made the one-time investment in technology because you can manage a higher volume of work with the same people, providing them with a higher quality work because they're only entering the data once and having more time for analysis to see how the project is tracking and to identify where the project is heading and making sure that the progress type invoices or the cost plus invoices or the lump sum or unit based invoices are accurate and relying on the data that's been entered into the system. Let me just cue here. The main areas that we focus on and bring value, I believe the value in our offering is in and around budget management. So allowing you to establish and enter an original budget. And then we track all of the changes from that original budget to a revised budget. We're able to track both costs and any units. So if you're a self-performing contractor and you have labor, you can, when you enter an estimate, you can enter in both hours and dollars and track against those to see how you're tracking on the job. We're always going to give you the ability to see the original estimate and the revised estimate. And, a standard cost report, is always going to tell us what our original estimate is, any approved changes to that estimate to a revised estimate. Then we have a total commitment, which is a combination of all of the POs and subcontracts that we've let. Job to date costs or costs that have come in from AP, costs that have come in from payroll, costs that have come in from equipment cost, costs that have been relieved from inventory. So this is a job cost report for this job, and these are cost codes that one can set up in the system. Both the job number and the cost code structure are user definable. We've worked with 300 plus general contractor construction managers across country. And so we can provide advice on job numbering and cost code structure. If you have a cost code structure that you're accustomed to using, then we can take and implement it into the system. So this would be a job cost report at the cost code level for a particular job. And so again, we're entering that original budget. We're managing any changes to that original budget to a revised budget or total estimate. Pop back here. So, and as I mentioned, the estimating application is going to allow you to formulate what the budget is, and then we can bring that budget in and it flows downstream from the estimating software right into that report I just showed you. Commitment management. So the issuance and management of purchase orders and subcontracts by job to your vendor. So it provides visibility into what you've committed to spend and the confidence that you will not overpay. When I have an invoice, when I have a purchase order in there and I'm receiving invoices against that, it will not allow me to exceed. I can turn these warnings on or off, but it's not going to allow me to exceed the quantity that I ordered or the negotiated price that I settled on with the vendor. With regard to subcontracts, we have an original subcontract. We do subcontract change order. So we have a revised contract. When I'm entering AP invoices against that subcontract, it's automatically, not only are we capturing what we need to pay the vendor, but we're also distributing it against that job and against that subcontract. And I get safeguards and warnings that will not allow that invoice to exceed the revised subcontract amount. We track compliance at the subcontractor level, so up to 6 different types of insurance to reduce your exposure and ensure that your subcontractors have the appropriate insurance to be working on site. And there's many, many different purchase order and subcontract audit reports, all from that single entry, right? When I enter that AP invoice, it's going against the budget. It's going against the subcontract. It's sitting there as a cost against my bid item to see what I should be billing for my progress draw that period. So that's commitment management. We do holdback management. Again, I'm just trying to highlight some of the higher value construction specific features that our software includes. So accounts payable holdback. So when you issue a subcontract on that subcontract, you define what the holdback is. And every time I'm going to enter an AP invoice against that subcontract, it's automatically segregating the holdback, and it's also segregating the taxes payable on that holdback. And then we have, from an AP perspective, we can easily go in and release those holdbacks when the job is identified as holdback releases is available. On the accounts receivable side, when we set up a contract, we also define the holdback. And so as we're going through and issuing our progress invoices to our customers on a monthly basis, we're always identifying what the holdback is. And then once we've cleared the holdback period, then we can release an invoice for that holdback amount. And again, we're managing and segregating the taxes associated with the accounts receivable holdback. Change management. So this is really key, right? We looked at that original budget, and we looked at the total or revised budget. So it's our change management software that's allowing us to go from an original budget to a total estimate. So we can create and manage potential change orders or change requests so nothing falls through the cracks. The idea is that when you hear about something on a job, you're going to spin up a potential change order or a CCN. And you can start building out the cost associated with that change order. When we set up a contract with our customer to do the invoicing, we're going to define what our profit and overhead and our markups are. And those will flow through from that potential change order to an owner change order that eventually gets onto the subcontract. So a key report that our clients really like to use is, here's a potential change request log by status. So with this customer, I had an original contract of $831,000. So far, these potential change orders have been converted into these owner change orders totaling $33,957, which has increased my contract value with my customer to $865,000. And that's what I can now progress down again. So you'll note, that a potential change can flow in a one-to-one or a one-to-many relationship over to an owner change order. I can also tag statuses of these potential change orders. So I have not issued in potential and submitted in this demo database, and verbal okay. So you can modify and come up with a naming convention for the statuses of your potential change orders. But the idea is that we create these potential change orders as soon as possible. We build out our cost, which then flows to our revenue. So that's a potential change order log, potential change order status. So when we approve these change orders, they issue the related subcontract change orders downstream to the subcontractors, and they also are available to be incorporated into one of the schedule of value line items on our progress type contract, or we can create a new line item on our progress contract and progress down against that on a monthly basis. So they update both the project budget and the contract. And we have a full audit, which is really provides insight. Once a job is done, it's nice to review every change order on the job, whether they were internal and you needed to absorb those costs and didn't get a chance to bill for them, whether they were modifications to the original budget to a revised budget by taking certain costs from one cost code and moving them through to another cost code, or whether those were potential changes that turned into approved changes that had a revenue component. Being able to go back and look at all of the changes that were that occurred during that job really gives you insight to be better at your estimating and be better at future jobs that are similar in nature in order to, prevent those changes and the cost creep. Work in progress management, our software allows, again, this is a typical area where the customers who we work with who are coming off of QuickBooks and coming off of Sage 50 are managing, if they're managing work in progress, they're managing it in Excel. And so our system natively provides the ability to track everything you require to manage your work in progress. This is one line per job. So we have what our total estimate is. We have what our job to date costs are. And there's a percent complete that's driven from that relationship. When you set up a job, you set up the contract. As change orders come and land on that job, that contract is increased. So here's my revised contract amount. In our billings application, you go through and you define which percent complete you want to bill for this period, or what the remainder is, or the balance to finish. There's a number of different criteria, but you're producing your invoices out of the system so it knows what you have billed. Our adjusted revenue is when we take the percent complete and apply it to our revised contract to tell us what revenue we should be recognizing. And then we have a WIP balance to determine whether or not we're over or under billed for this period, giving us a journal entry for the month or the quarter or the year. But allowing, again, natively within the system, we're tracking everything that's required to work on to manage our WIP effectively. And this is all, it all flows out to the field. So from the field, we have, Sage Field Operations. And what Sage Field Operations allows, it allows employees, it allows foremen, it allows superintendents, project coordinators, project managers, anyone who's working out in the field. It allows them to capture time and take that time through an approval process. And again, we're coding that time against valid jobs and valid cost codes. And they can check in and check out, or they can enter what they did for the day, assigning time to different cost codes on the same day if they so choose. It gives the ability for project coordinators or superintendents or foremen out in the field to create POs. So all of that time flows through and is sitting in payroll, waiting to be approved and waiting to be processed. The field POs give us they let us know who ordered what from whom. And those field POs can be brought in as committed costs, or they can just be supporting documents on that project. So when that AP invoice comes in, we're able to match the field PO, know who ordered it from what vendor on what day, and we can match that over with the AP invoice. It'll allow us to create an RFI out in the field or create a change order over in the field. And again, those RFIs and change orders, as well as the POs and time, are all sitting back in Sage 100 Contractor in your office. The Sage Field Operations has a forms generator, so you can create any type of form you require out in the field. So whether those are meeting forms, they're safety forms, they're health forms, any type of form can be created. Deficiency form where you can embed photos into those forms. And again, all of that data is attached back under that job within the Sage 100 Contractor in the back office. Daily field reports allow you to enter which subcontractors, what was the weather, what labor, what equipment was on site, what was the weather like. So it allows you to go and take all of that information from the field and bring it back into the back office. We have the ability to resource plan, so you can have all of your labor and any equipment that you manage. You can have all of your jobs on a board, and you can drag and drop crews or pieces of equipment to particular jobs as you look ahead over the next 2, 3, 5 weeks to see where your resources are going to be. Photo logs, being able to mark up photos, being able to associate those with change orders. The idea here is that it brings operations and accounting together so everybody's on the same page. You can also get reports delivered out to the field to see how the job is tracking from a mobile environment. So I guess in summary, what we covered today is it's a low monthly subscription fee to get started. You can be live and operational within 30 days. We work with customers to deliver on a single entry of all of their data, so they're not having to manage any more spreadsheets. And where you are using spreadsheets, we want to integrate those back with your Sage data. Spreadsheets aren't going away. They're a tool that people use every day. When using Sage construction software, there's no more rekeying of data into those spreadsheets. We set up a spreadsheet layout, and then we can connect the data from the Sage database into the layout that we like over in Excel. Again, the high value propositions that I tried to cover off today, we're giving you complete control over your budget for the commitments that your company makes, for any change orders to both the budget and to the contract. We allow you to set up and define the billing relationship with your customer and cover all of the different construction type contract arrangements, and we help you manage your work in progress. Again, we're going to pay your employees, we're going to pay your vendors, we're going to do financials of the company or group of companies, and we're a replacement to Sage 50, QuickBooks, and a series of Excel spreadsheets. All of our capabilities can be accessed in the field through Sage Field Operations, providing anywhere, anytime access to your operations group. Again, so accounting and operations are always on the same page. You know, over the last 22 years, we've implemented over 700 companies. You know, we have a team of professionals, dedicated Sage certified consultants with many, many years of construction experience to lead your group through the configuration, training, and conversion to successfully deploy the Sage construction software that we sell and support. You know, all of this can be hosted in the cloud for you. Sage 100 Contractor natively is not a cloud-based solution. The Sage Field Operations is a web-based extension, but with the, you know, with COVID arriving and more companies not wanting to have the overhead or the footprint of a server in their office, you know, Constructive Cloud is a virtual hosting service that we as Constructive Solutions have been offering for the last 4 years. We probably have like 55 or 60 of our clients that we host their Sage software. So it's affordable, it's secure, high performance, redundant. You know, we're managing your disaster backup. We're allowing, no matter where your staff are, they can access the Sage 100. They can access Sage 100 Contractor anywhere, anytime, you know, on any device. So no server, we can get you up and running for a very affordable monthly fee. So the next steps, you know, we're going to follow up with you in the next couple of days. We want to develop a plan to support you in your investigation. We can, you know, work with that licensing, that worksheet to make sure you're clear on what the investment is. There's some current promotions that are in place to further incent customers to come on board. We'd like to then schedule a detailed demonstration once we have a better understanding of your prioritized requirements. We can finalize the investment and provide some references following the demo, and then we can get started with your implementation, and you could be live. You know, if there's decisions that are being made in short order and you've been considering Sage 100 Contractor for some time, we could look at getting a March 1st, but realistically more on April 1st live. No fooling. So anyways, we could open it up to question and answers. If anybody has any questions that they'd like to throw while you have us on the call.
Hi, just got a question here. How do you transfer? My name is Sal. I'm calling from the Bolsa Contracting. How do you transfer information? So we've got multi-year projects that have now been logged into QuickBooks. How easily the transfer is into Sage, and are you able to keep the integrity and the meaningfulness of the data once it's transferred? Yeah,
so good question. Appreciate your time. So there's different types of data, and we can bring across anything. It's just a matter of time and effort. So when you have a job that's spanning and you want all that transactional detail brought across for that job in order to support your go-forward reporting requirements, so you can look back in the new platform and see all of the data that you were looking at in QuickBooks, you know, we can do that. So, and then for new jobs coming on, we'll just set those jobs up. Not all of the history for jobs that are closed off is going to come across. So we bring across opening balances typically to meet the go-forward reporting requirements, whether those are financial, vendor, customer. So we're going to organize the data from QuickBooks for import into Sage 100 Contractor. And so again, when we look at that job in QuickBooks, we need to, if we're going to be changing the cost code structure, or if you already have a cost code structure that you're sort of tying into the GL in QuickBooks, we need to just be able to map that data that's in QuickBooks over to the new structure or the same structure in the job cost subledger. But we can bring across as much detail as we want. There's no limitations. It's just a matter of time and organizing that information. So we'll look to get that information from QuickBooks into Excel. We'll do a mapping exercise if it's needed, and then we'll have that for import into Sage 100 Contractor. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, if there aren't, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. You know, as mentioned, we're going to be following up with you in the next day or two to define a plan to support you in your investigation. If today was just an introduction and you're not in a buying cycle at this and don't require additional information, please let us know. You know, we'll continue to market to you, but we're finding a lot of uptake with the new subscription model, and often, you know, no decision has been one of our biggest competitors over the year. And often that no decision is tied to the upfront investment that's required. And so what we've worked hard to do with Sage and in the delivery of our services is really lower the barriers to get customers who are wanting a construction specific software so they can take advantage of the budget management and the change order management and the commitment management and contracts and billings. You know, they can start taking advantage of those features to increase efficiency in their business by lowering the cost. So we're trying to get it down to a reasonable, manageable monthly figure. You know, but those clients that decide to proceed, you know, they're well positioned to grow their business, understanding, you know, that they're mitigating the risk and they're positioned to increase profitability as they move forward with fewer staff because they're only entering the data once. So thank you all very much for your time. Continued success to your companies and health to all of your employees and yourself. And we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Patrick. Have a great day there. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.